There are events that shake the world on the surface, and then there are events that fracture time itself. What happened in that house in Moscow, Idaho, was not just a crime, it was a ritual, a disruption, a code meant to hijack the organic flow of truth. On the surface, it looks just like a tragic mystery, but underneath, I see a layered attempt to confuse the timeline, to disorient those who come here to anchor something higher. I'm not here to prove guilt or innocence. I'm not here to chase conspiracies. I'm here because something about this event activated me, and maybe it activated you too. Maybe you've seen the shadows others pretend not to see. Maybe you felt the timeline crack and couldn't explain why. Maybe you're one of the ones who came here to remember and to rebuild. If so, this video isn't just about solving a crime. It's about reclaiming the truth field that the crime was designed to distort. So take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's go deeper. Welcome to Awakening the Lost Self. There's a reason that this case will not let go of our collective psyche, because beneath the headlines, the arrests, and the sealed court files, there's an unspoken ritual playing out in real time. A ritual not of symbols and robes, but of trauma, timelines, and targeted souls. Now let's talk about Dylan Mortensen. I'm not here to accuse her. I don't believe she caused any harm to her roommates. In fact, I hold deep compassion for her, because what she may have witnessed goes far beyond the physical. According to the affidavit, Dylan says she saw a masked figure that night, not just at a glance. She describes details: a ski mask, bushy eyebrows, hearing the words, "It's okay, I'm here to help you." But who was he speaking to? Was it even her? Some have theorized that this wasn't a lone intruder, but a two-person operation. And that line, "I'm here to help you," could have been said to the killer, not Dylan. Either way, she froze. She didn't call 911. She went silent, and that silence became the ritual. Here's where we go deeper, into the energetic grid. What if Dylan wasn't meant to die, but to witness? What if her survival was never a mistake, but the entire point? To place a spiritually gifted person at the center of trauma, to splinter her intuition and fracture the organic timeline she was destined to anchor. It's not a stretch. In my own life, I've seen how psychic sensitivity often attracts distortion, how the synthetic grid identifies clairvoyants, empaths, and those holding Leyline codes, and it targets them with trauma, isolation, paranoia, and energetic looping. So let's go back to that 911 call. The roommates reported as unconscious, not dead. No mention of blood, yet we were told the blood seeped through the floors and down the foundation. How do you not see that? Unless the veil was so thick, so energetically manipulated that it altered perception. Or perhaps what Dylan saw wasn't fully human. Brian's defense team stated in court, and I quote, that this witness has claimed memory problems, that this witness has claimed that she was not sure what she heard or saw was real or a dream. Now let that sink in. To understand the deeper layers, we have to step outside linear logic into strange territory where perception and spirit meet. Now, when I started researching this case, I kept running into the same wall, the questions nobody could answer. Why did it take 8 hours to call 911? If Bethany didn't see anything, what did she hear? Why was the 911 call so vague, stating that the roommates were unconscious and not responding, with no mention of blood, the scene, or the fact that multiple people had clearly been killed? And how is it even physically possible for blood to seep through the floors and into the foundation on the outside of the house, so visibly that it was noticed from the outside? The last detail really stuck with me. Because while it was deeply disturbing on a physical level, on an energetic level, it may be trying to tell us something. What if this wasn't just a crime? What if this was a dimensional event, a bleed through, where the veil between realities grew thin? We speak of portals, of thresholds, of liminal zones. What if this house became one? And in that liminal space, nothing behaves the way we expect. Suddenly, Dylan's behavior makes a kind of higher sense. Her phone activity, the editing of photos, the time distortion, her lack of urgency in calling 911. If what Dylan saw wasn't fully physical, or if it didn't register that way to her in her mind, it could explain everything. Because when we witness something that defies all logic, all physics, something paranormal, our first instinct is not protocol. It's confusion, disbelief, shock, and we reach for what feels safe. We call our friends, we call our parents. We try to ground ourselves in something familiar. That would also explain why there was no clear acknowledgement of death on the 911 call. If the event itself fractured reality, then those caught inside of it may have been left floating between dimensions, aware that something was wrong, but unable to grasp the full extent of what had occurred. In that light, this wasn't just a tragedy. It may have been an attempted distortion of time, a psychic hijack, targeting those sensitive to the organic grid. And if Dylan holds latent codes or organic crystalline structures, then she may not have been the target in the way we think. She may have been placed there to witness, to absorb, to fracture, and to distort. And the blood bleeding through the foundation, that may be the ritual signature. Proof that something pierced the veil that night, something meant to anchor distortion in a sacred place. But what they didn't count on was that some of us would feel it, some of us would remember, and some of us would trace that fracture back to the source to reverse it. So here's the alchemy. By giving voice to what was meant to stay silent, we reverse the spell. By holding Dylan in compassion instead of judgment, we break the trauma loop. By understanding that those with the codes, those with the gifts, are being hunted not for their body, but their frequency, we can begin to reclaim the timeline. This is not about fear, it's about sovereignty. It's about standing in the truth of the organic grid and refusing to feed the synthetic one with silence, outrage, or blind obedience. To Dylan, if you ever hear this, you're not alone and you're not crazy. What you witnessed may have been beyond this world, but your healing will ripple across worlds. To everyone else, our timelines are sacred, and so is our voice.